It's not true. I went with my brother to France.
Well,
I went alone to Paris, but to Paris, yes. That's in Paris. Yeah, my cousin Jacques. Yeah, I dreamt 3 weeks earlier that I was with my friend Beatrice, and we were standing in front of this old door. And I say to her, Beatrice, when my cousin opens the door, don't go sit on his bed, because his students had only one room, you know. Don't sit on his bed because it's got a broken leg. End of dream. 3 weeks later, we're standing in front of his door, and compulsively I say to her, Beatrice, when you go in, don't sit on the bed because it's got a broken door. And Jacques had just opened the door. And he looked at me and said, are you a witch or something? I said, why? He walks over to the bed and lifts the cover, and instead of a leg, there are 3 bricks. It had broken just about 3 weeks earlier. So my sense is that sometimes we are really part of other worlds that we don't know exist, or that come in penetrate our daily world in dreams or in other ways. But in my case, it was dreams. Of course, I've often had a sense of what not to do with a person, or what to avoid, or what to do, but that's not quite the same thing. But there are these realms outside of us that we don't control. We have to find ourselves in.
well, not to mention also that France is the land where the analytical psychodrama was developed. What about that?
Where?
The analytical,
Paris, yeah.
the so-called analytical psychodrama. What do you do about that?
I didn't like it. What I saw of it, I didn't like at all.
Why?
Well, first of all, what we saw was 4 psychiatrists with 1 patient. Come on, is that practical? And I gave a demonstration once in Paris with a little girl, because they didn't know how to handle children in psychodrama. And I took her to the zoo in Paris, and her eyes shone, and we talked about the various animals we saw, and then the time ended, and they must have discussed it among themselves. They never discussed it with me. So, no, it was much too tight and unreasonable. 3, 4 psychiatrists with 1 child, with one protagonist, and sit and analyze them afterwards. It would be different if they would do psychodrama themselves, and then, when the patient is gone, analyze it among themselves as much as they want. But in front of a patient, hey, I don't like that. I think that's undignified and unprofessional.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Was it an attempt to mix psychoanalysis and psychodrama, perhaps?
Well, I think it's apples and oranges, and it's very hard to do it properly that way. Unless you're making apple and orange soup.
Well, so let's move away.
And it also, no, it misses something very important, the heart. Moreno brought us we went with our heart into psychoanalysis. Don't do that in psychoanalysis. You stand aside and look, observe, and then you give your smart interpretation. Whether it's correct or not, never mind. And the patient is supposed to believe that that interpretation is necessary and becomes a guide, which doesn't work for us. Psychodrama doesn't work at insights. We work at changing the inside of the person. And insight, there are people who go to therapy for 15, 16 years and don't know what they've learned and haven't changed. They still don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So We believe in the catharsis of integration. And that integration may not happen right there at the session. May happen 8, 10 months later or 2 weeks later. I always say we are like the quantum physicists. We know there will be a result, but we can't predict what kind of result.